What's good? It's your boy Fanon. All right, we got a big fight coming up next month in the middleweight division. We know it is Canelo Alvarez, Canelo Alvarez, and Gennady Triple G Golovkin. This is a rematch, and it is going to be for the WBC and the WBA middleweight championship. It would have been for the IBF, but Gennady Golovkin decided to cherry pick Vandis Martirosyan, not rematch him immediately, and consequently was stripped. And now Daniel Jacobs is going to face Sergey Derevyanchenko for that IBF belt. But this is going to be the biggest fight in September, one of the biggest fights in the year. So it's time to really start talking about it. I have to admit that I'm looking forward to it. But one of the things that I'm not looking forward to, and is a subject of this video, is some of the chicanery that takes part on the Golovkin side of things, and some of these Gennady Golovkin fans. But I do want to talk about some things that Oscar De La Hoya talked about in the lead up to the fight that I think are interesting. But before I do that, I want to thank everybody, all the subscribers, for tuning into the channel. Thank you for watching my videos. Also, if you are watching and you're not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe and hit the bell icon, and that way you can be notified of when we release more videos. And also, I want to say thank you to everybody that supports the channel in the live streams, that donate to the channel in the live streams through the super chats, through the Venmos, and also thank you to everybody who watches the videos. And because I do put ads in the videos, because that's how we generate revenue for the cause that the channel is designed to support or establish to support. So I want to say thank you. So let me get on to moving to a series of things that De La Hoya said. One is that this Mexican, and I get on Gennady Golovkin for all these things, but I'm going to recap them in one video. First, as far as this fight with Canelo Alvarez and Gennady Golovkin, I'm going to go on record again and say I think Canelo Alvarez is going to beat him. I think Canelo Alvarez beat him last time. And despite the outcry by Gennady Golovkin fans acting as if Gennady Golovkin beat Canelo Alvarez in some landslide, he didn't. The fight was officially a draw. But I kind of agree with what De La Hoya said, and I think that Gennady Golovkin beat Canelo Alvarez, and I had him up by about 2 rounds as well. I think he won the first half of the fight, first 6 rounds, probably the last 3 rounds, and easily could have given him one in the middle. But, it is what it is, and that fight is a draw, so now we're rematching. But a couple things that De La Hoya said, and I am not in the business of agreeing with De La Hoya just for the heck of agreeing with Oscar De La Hoya. Canelo is one of my favorite fighters. 100%, I will just stand out there. I got to say it. I say it pretty much every time that I talk about Canelo Alvarez, because I got to be upfront with it. I think Canelo Alvarez is a very, very good fighter. I like the way that he fights. I understand that there's a lot of things on his record, as far as like fights with Austin Trout, bouts with Israelandi Lara, that people think, he didn't win. Add to that, it's funny though, I never heard anybody complaining about any of the Gennady Golovkin fans that I'm familiar with complaining about the decisions that he got against Lara and Trout. And I think that Lara and Trout both won their fights more convincingly, or have a better argument of having beaten Canelo than Gennady Golovkin does. But, I just want to acknowledge that those things are out there on Canelo Alvarez's resume, as well as the Computerol. It's there as well. He did test positive for Computerol, and it is what it is, The WBC decided to cut him a break. The Nevada State Athletic Commission decided to cut him a break. But all those things are on his record, and I cannot deny them. But all that said, I still like the way the guy fights. I think he's been in and has given me a good show every time I've seen him fight. And, that's why I support him. Now, Gennady Golovkin, on the other hand, has been the hype around Gennady Golovkin is centered around two major things that I think are complete and utter crap, and I find, offensive as a pseudo amateur slash pseudo boxing historian. I find offensive. The first of them is this Mexican style. I'm never gonna say. Now, Oscar De La Hoya said that this Mexican style thing is a gimmick, and that fans are loyal to Canelo Alvarez. Now, I can't say whether that's true or not because I'm not in the Mexican boxing community, and I remember pretty clearly a lot of people really going for Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. in the fight that he had in Canelo's fight before last. So I can't really speak to on whether or not Mexican fight fans are really loyal to Canelo or not. I don't know. I know that he has a large faction of people that support him, but I also know that there are some people on the other side of that fence with Canelo Alvarez in the Mexican community as well. And that's because I did a series of videos on Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. versus Canelo. And there were a lot of Mexican people that couldn't stand Canelo and were really rooting for Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. in that ridiculous mismatch that I actually paid for. But still, either way it cuts it, Gennady Golovkin does not fight in the Mexican style. He fights in Gennady Golovkin's style. He fights in Gennady Golovkin's Kazakhstan style because that's where he's from, and that's who he is. That's his style, and that's fine. It's not a bad style. The guy can definitely fight. He's a Hall of Fame fighter. He is a guy that deserves a lot of the accolades that he gets. So I don't have a problem with that. But like De La Hoya said, the gimmick of the Mexican style it's just over the top. And then the last thing that De La Hoya talked about was Bernard Hopkins rooting for Canelo to beat Golovkin so that Golovkin doesn't pass up his title defense record. And with that, I say, what title defense record? Gennady Golovkin has 9 title defenses at this point. 9. I think it was 8, and then I think maybe Vanis Martirosyan 154. But it doesn't matter how sparring partner like Vanis Martirosyan was. Vanis Martirosyan was a title defense. They allowed it. He defended his titles against Vanis Martirosyan, so it counts as a title defense. But still, that might be 9 title defenses because the WBA regular title is not a title defense. Felix Sturm is not a major. The WBA regular title is not a major championship belt, and as a result of that, you can't defend what you don't have. The WBA super title is held by Felix Sturm. And yes, I understand that people say that Felix Sturm ducked Gennady Golovkin and didn't want to fight Gennady Golovkin. And he very well might not have. He might have wanted to milk that middleweight championship, that middleweight title that he had. I think Felix Sturm was fighting out there in Germany, and he might have milked it. I mean, I'd have to go back and look at it. There's a reason that people said that Gennady Golovkin was feared and people didn't want to fight him and he was having a hard time getting guys in the ring with him. I know that was the truth at a point, but that has not been the truth in a while. But relative to this point, it doesn't matter because if they didn't get in the ring with him, they didn't get in the ring with him, which means he didn't win that major championship belt. And since he didn't win the major championship belt, he couldn't defend it. And the numbers don't count. Anyway, it is what it is, and that record ain't real. But I have no doubt whatsoever that, if Gennady Golovkin gets a draw in this fight, that it'll be considered a title defense. Now, again, I'm gonna wrap it up on this. I don't see that happening. I think that Canelo Alvarez has already seen Gennady Golovkin. And having been in the ring with Gennady Golovkin and knowing what Golovkin does, having felt the power of Gennady Golovkin, that Canelo Alvarez is going to be able to adjust to that and just be able to pick up where he left off, pick up a couple more rounds, and beat Gennady Golovkin on decision. Gennady Golovkin is a year older. He hasn't got any faster. He's not going to make any adjustments. He fights pretty much one way, and that one way is always, it's done him very well. But he has not looked like the old Gennady Golovkin for a while now. The last, I guess, unless you count Vanis Martirosyan, but the last two times that Gennady Golovkin actually fought middleweights, Gennady Golovkin looked significantly more shaky than he had in the past, and that being Daniel Jacobs and Canelo Alvarez. A lot of people think that Daniel Jacobs beat Gennady Golovkin, and if it wasn't for the knockdown, that he might have. And then there's of course is a Canelo Alvarez fight, and just trying to act as if anybody that thinks that Gennady Golovkin lost that fight is blind. Just thank God for reality, because it doesn't matter if you believe that or not. What it says on BoxRec, if you look at his record, is that was a draw. He didn't win the fight. He didn't knock out Canelo Alvarez. He dang sure didn't run through Canelo Alvarez. And based on the last fight, there's almost no reason whatsoever to believe that Canelo Alvarez would be harboring any fear for the guy whatsoever. And that's not even talking about, what would happen next with the other middleweights that are out there. So, look, I'm not big on Gennady Golovkin at this point in time in his career. Not that I have anything against him personally. I think the dude sounds like a really nice guy from what I can understand. It's just, that he allows, and of course there's the Abel Sanchez thing. He's just a lot of nonsense going on around him. And although there's a lot of nonsense going around Canelo Alvarez too, hey man, what can I say? I like Canelo. Anyway, thanks for listening. And with that, I'm out. Peace.